I guess the moral of the story here is, check your makeup collection. You may already have something that's similar. Hey loves, what is up? Thanks for joining me today. My name is Lauren, if you didn't know, and today I think I have maybe a dupe, possibly, I don't know. I might be wrong, but I hope I'm not because I think they're mad similar. So, I recently did a video on this Chanel blush. This was a part of their limited edition summer 2024 collection. They now sell it at Ulta, and I'm kind of annoyed by that. I wish retailers would be a little bit more transparent with where and when they're releasing things, but anyway. This is now available at Ulta, and I would have preferred to buy it from Ulta because then at least I could have got, points. And this is an expensive purchase. This is $75 US, and yeah, I would have rather purchased it at Ulta. But it is now available at Ulta if you care. Now, you can see by mine, she is already beat up and dirty. Like, I lie to you not when I say, after that video, the next 4 days, I wore this blush straight non-stop. And I was like trying to figure out why. Why did I keep grabbing for this blush in particular? And the answer was very simple. It's a perfect nudie neutral tone blush on my skin tone. It comes off as a nice light soft peachy shade. And it's just perfect. It's like the nice subtle flush of color as far as a nude neutral tone blush goes. I wore this literally 4 days straight after that video. I just kept grabbing it. It was like a second nature to me, blinking. I just was doing it without thinking about it. And then around the third day I realized oh, why do I keep grabbing this blush? I have other blushes on my vanity as we speak, sitting in front of me just being ignored. It's because it reminded me of something. It reminded me of one of my favorite blushes of all time. And I mentioned this blush in that video as well, but I didn't actually compare the two. I didn't bother to search my collection and pick it up. And that blush is from Pat McGrath and is the shade Desert Orchid. Now, still somewhat expensive. These retail for $39, so $40. But I mean, in comparison to the Chanel, $40, $75, you have to pick your poison there. But it reminded me of this blush a lot. Shimmer finish, more of a satin glowy type finish to it. So yeah, it was reminding me of this blush. So the way I've been using the Chanel blush every time I picked it up, I have yet to find a brush that can fit comfortably just solely in one side of the compact. So the main brush I've been using for it is this one. It's a short angled dense cheek brush, but you can find any brush of this shape or form. Just get a close-up of it. So I've been using this brush, and every time I use this brush, I noticed I would get a bit of the gold in the mix. Now granted, the peachy shade is hard to pick up, but the highlighter shade I noticed in these blush duos is easy to pick up. This picks up with little to no effort, the highlight part. The blush part is where I'm struggling to get the product. So even though I've been solely focusing my brush on this side every time I grab this blush to wear, I'm still getting a smidge of the gold. Now every time I do get a little bit of the gold, I realize I just angled my brush in a way where the gold would hit the higher points of my face and give me a nice subtle glow. Not overwhelming. It's not as intense as just taking a brush and putting the gold highlight on by itself. It's very subtle because I'm intentionally trying not to get into the gold part, but I'm still getting into the gold parts. So even though this side of the blush is matte, because a little bit of this highlight does get on my brush, it makes it more like a satin when combining the two. It makes it more like a pearlized, glowy finish. A subtle one, but not too much. The Pat McGrath says Desert Orchid is a bronze rose with a golden pearl. So there is gold pearl in here. So there's shimmer in here. So the Pat McGrath is a naturally glowy blush. So Desert Orchid is the only Pat McGrath blush that has any type of pearl or sheen to it. The rest of them are demi mattes. I absolutely love this blush. This is a perfect nude tone blush. I do believe I'm in the cusp of people that can get away with this. After the medium dark range, I'm not entirely sure who else could get away with wearing this color, but I definitely can, and it is a nice neutral peachy beigey blush. It gives a nice glow to your cheek. Now on my face right now, all I have on is foundation, concealer. I set with powder, and then I set my face with setting spray. So I just have base complexion on it. So alright, I want to just compare to see if these two are comparable, because I think they're very similar. They give a very similar effect on the cheek. So I'm going to take the brush that I've been using for the Chanel. So the Chanel is going to go on my left. I'm trying my hardest not to get in the gold, but it's damn near mission impossible. So because the gold was hitting this side of my brush, I'm gonna angle my brush this way to make sure the gold highlight hits where it's supposed to hit, higher on the cheekbones. So here we go. You see how like that just adds a nice subtle flush of peach, and there's like a bit of glow with it. Oh my gosh, this is so pretty. Like a perfect nude blush. I actually wore this to a baby shower and they did take pictures. I'm still digging in here just to build it up just a little bit more. I would actually stop right here actually. This is like the perfect flush of color for me, but just to make sure you can see what I'm seeing on camera, I just add a little bit more. The camera has a tendency to wash people out just a little bit. But yeah, I wore this to a baby shower and like the pictures I took, it looked like I was naturally blushing. And as a black person, I don't really do that. Like I don't turn red or get flustered or flushed looking. But yeah, so this is the Chanel side. So I think it's very comparable. And like I said, the way I've been angling my brush, making sure like the gold highlight hits where it's supposed to hit, is very helpful. And it gives a nice subtle glow. That's me not even trying to dip into the highlighter. Now we have Desert Orchid, which is described as a bronze rose with golden pearl. I think these are so similar. And I think that's what caused me to, I'm gonna use my regular cheek brush that I usually always use for my blush. But I think that's what caused me to pick that Chanel blush up and just throw it on my face. Because when I got this blush, I was using it nonstop. I had to like put it away so I could like use other blushes in my collection. But this is like the perfect nudie neutral tone blush. So I'm hoping they're similar. Like I hope my suspicion is right, because I feel like they're comparable. I wouldn't say they're exactly the same, but they're comparable. Yeah, the Pat McGrath is a little bit more subdued. I feel like the Chanel one is just a smidge more peachy. This is leaning a little bit more brown, but it's still pretty. Like, that's really pretty. Just gonna add a little bit more. Build it up. I always try to make sure I smile once while I'm applying my blush. I normally don't like to like make stupid faces while applying my makeup. Like people be like making like the weirdest of faces while applying their makeup. And I always think that's odd. I prefer my face to be resting because like realistically speaking, majority of the day my face is just going to be resting. So they are very similar. Okay. Super similar actually. But from in the mirror I can see the one from Chanel is just a smidge brighter. Like this is coming off a little bit more peachy coral. This is coming off more peachy nude. Like the Pat McGrath leans a little bit more brown, where this one leans a little bit more peach. But they're very similar. Like I'm getting very similar vibes with both. I'm gonna zoom you in a second, but yeah. I will say the gold shift on this one is way more noticeable. This one, since it's baked into the powder, the whole cheek is illuminated, but it looks a little bit more natural. Like this, you could definitely see more of like a prominent highlight. This is more like my whole cheek is just like, my whole cheek has like a slight sheen with the side, where this side you can see like more of a prominent highlight. They're very close. Like looking in the mirror, they are extremely close. This is the Chanel side. So you see what I'm saying? Like it's a perfect nude everyday blush. It kind of goes with anything. If I was to do any type of eye look today, it wouldn't matter because like my blush isn't like super loud or in the way. And this is the Pat McGrath side. They are super similar, I would say. I would say the Pat McGrath just leans a smidge more warm, so it's a little darker, where the Chanel is a little bit more peachy beige. In real life in the mirror, the camera is emphasizing it more, but like in real life in the mirror as I look down, they look damn near identical. I can just notice like the gold highlighter on the side. I don't notice any gold highlight on this side, but I do notice like a sheen across the whole cheek. But yeah, they are so similar. I absolutely love the Desert Orchid blush from Pat McGrath. And around day 3, I was like, why do I keep picking up the Chanel blush like this? Like it's the only blush in my collection. It's because it reminded me of it. And I like how nude and natural it was. The Chanel is just a bit brighter. So that's what they look like. So this is the Chanel, this is the Pat McGrath. On the face, they look so similar though. And swatch, they don't look similar at all. But on the face, they definitely look similar. I'm gonna actually swatch the gold with the peach together really quickly just to show you what that looks like. See, this is the Chanel Duo mix. This is the Chanel blush by itself, and this is the Pat McGrath blush. If you notice the mixed one, it kind of takes on a similar hue to the, it's starting to lean closer to the Pat McGrath. So that just that faint hint of gold, mind you, this is it all mixed together. That faint hint of gold makes it lean more towards like the Pat McGrath. So that's the difference. But like on the face, you tell me, they look very similar, and I think they're comparable. So if you were looking for a nude blush and you're of a medium deep skin tone, I definitely think the Chanel is definitely in the running, and I would highly suggest you just buy it from Ulta. That way you get your points. But the Pat McGrath also gives like a basic, barely there flush of color that just looks natural on my skin tone and cheeks. It's a perfect nude blush. In my original view, I don't think I hyped this up in much. I think I just said it was okay. Like, it reminded me of like an everyday nude tone blush, but like in reality, I love everyday nude tone blushes. I think my disappointment initially was definitely because I thought it would be a little bit more pigmented, but because it's not as pigmented as it was, or as I thought it should have been, this ended up being like a perfect everyday peachy tone blush. I just wanted to come on here and show that there's a subtle hint of difference, but not much. I also have this Eadem lip balm. I was trying to buy this since they first came out, but on the Sephora site, like they went in and out of stock. And then I realized like they had them at my local Sephora. So I just went into the store. The color I really wanted, it was called Burnt Malai. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, or it's supposed to be pronounced another way, but they said they had it in stock in store. I got to the store, they did not. So I ended up getting Boba Bounce, which is the brown one. I thought I was originally gonna want Fig Sauce, but it was a little too pinky. I wanted something that was a little bit more neutral. This is what it looks like. It has this nice little cool metal applicator, which is easy to clean. This is a black owned and Asian owned brand. Hold on, can I squeeze them out first? I don't want to squeeze out a lot. That took forever to squeeze them out. I wasn't sure if it's going to squeeze out like aggressive or like slow, but yeah. So this is the color Boba Bounce. I'm gonna try it. Ooh, it's rich. That's pretty. I'm not crazy about the smell though. It smells a little medicinal. Like, it reminds me of a medicine from my childhood. But that's pretty. That's really pretty. I still want the shade Burnt Malai, because that's the one I originally wanted. But like I said, it's been in and out of stock on like Sephora like crazy, and I didn't feel like placing an online order for one lip balm. It can wait. Yeah, that's really pretty, and it's nice and shiny too. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I wanted to really know if there was a difference between this and the Pat McGrath Desert Orchid, because they're very similar. And I would definitely say if you have one, you don't need the other. I wouldn't say they're complete dupes, but they're so close. Like, they're comparable. They're just like perfect everyday neutral shades. And I also wanted to give the announcement that like this is now sold at Ulta. To my knowledge, I haven't seen any other of the Chanel limited edition collections come over to Ulta, so I don't know if this is a new thing just for this collection and they'll be doing it going forward, or if this was just for this collection, period. But Pat McGrath, this is always a permanent part of her blushes. I think they're very comparable. So I'm kind of glad I got on camera just to share the two. I know I said in my original video like it reminded me of this blush, but I didn't actually pull it out to see like the difference between the two. As I look in the mirror, there ain't too much of a difference between the two. But that's all from me today. Appreciate you hanging out. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. You know what's funny about dupes though? Like, I don't really care for dupes. I'm the type of person, I want what I want. I don't care if e.l.f. made the same exact product down to the same exact ingredients and even copied the same exact packaging and put a CC logo on top of theirs. I still want the Chanel. I am that type of person. Like, I'm the type of person, if I send you to the store and I ask for Lay's wavy chips and you come back and you bought Utz wavy chips, I'm gonna be upset. I would have rather you came back with nothing. I'm that type of person. Or, you know, at least call me before you make like that decision, like, oh, she'll be cool with the substitute. I probably won't. It's a 97% chance I will not be. If I can't get what I want, I don't want it at all. I'm that type of person. Like, do not substitute anything for me if it was like not at the store, especially if I went on my way to specify something very specific, like down to the brand. I want that thing, not the substitute, not something that's comparable or like it, but I want that thing. So I don't know, am I the only one that's like that? Maybe, but yeah. I do understand the appeal of dupes though. Like, not everybody can afford the high price tag item. I get that. So like, I understand why there's a market for it and why some people, you know, seek out like dupes of stuff that's like more expensive.